I walked in happy after seeing my AP, then my daughter handed me divorce papers and everything fell apart.
If only I could go back in time, I would have done things differently. I messed up big time. I destroyed my beautiful family with my own hands, all because of greed and lust. I never imagined my life could turn sour in an instant. I came home one day and met my kids watching a sex video of me and my boss. Ridiculous, you might think, but wait till you listen to the full story. Hey Reddit, for the sake of privacy, I will be using fake names. My husband David, male 40, and I, female 35, have been married for the past 15 years now, and our marriage is blessed with 2 girls, twins. My marriage wasn't perfect, but it was the best. I honestly don't know what came over me and made me destroy everything. It all started 5 months ago when I got transferred to my present place of work. I noticed my boss took a keen interest in me. He would flirt with me at every given opportunity, get me lunch on his way back from meetings, and give me random gifts, but honestly, I didn't read any meaning to it initially. I thought he was being generous and was just trying to make me comfortable since I was new to the environment. I thought he would get tired and just stop one day, but everything continued. He even graduated from just sending me little gifts like perfumes and color to sending sentimental gifts like underwear. It was at this point that I knew something was wrong, but I was too scared to confront him. Everything continued for 3 months. I can't even lie. I was enjoying the attention and benefits that came with it. My boss is a very fine, handsome man. To top it all, he is also rich. Every woman would do absolutely anything to be with him. In just 3 months, he had spoiled with the most expensive gifts you can imagine. Things I never dreamed of having in my entire life. I honestly couldn't wait for him to ask me out. A part of me wanted him to ask me so badly, but when I remembered I was a happily married woman with 2 kids, I would just compose myself. I love my husband so much, and the thought of cheating on me always creeps me out because he is practically my everything. He sacrificed a lot for me to be at the top of my career today. He was there for me physically, financially, and emotionally. We have been through a lot of thick and thin together. My only problem with him is that he is a boring person. Unlike my boss, who is the life of the party. I'm an accountant, and to get to the top of my career today is all thanks to the incredible man I married. He invested all his money in me even though he didn't earn much. And he even denied himself a lot of good things so I can further my education. What about the kids? A few years ago, David got a juicy job offer in a faraway city from where we live, but he refused to go because I was schooling at that time, and there was no way I could combine my school loads and the kids because our kids were very young then. Worst of all, we couldn't afford a nanny. So David stayed back and continued working at his old place of work, even though the new job offer would have boosted his career and even our finances, but he turned it down for me. Do you see why the thought of cheating on him creeps me out? Even though we have our differences at times, I can bet with everything that David is a good man. But my boss seems to be perfect, with money and everything. One day my boss called me into his office and handed me an envelope. I hurriedly opened it. I thought it was an open check or something, but I was even more excited when I discovered it was a ticket to Hawaii. Our company was chosen to attend a business conference, and my boss picked me to attend the conference with. He was supposed to attend the conference with his PA and HR, but I was surprised when I was the one picked instead. I was shocked but excited. I have never been to Hawaii before. What am I even saying? I have never really traveled outside the state before. I have spent all my life in Los Angeles. I grew up there and even got married there. So everything about me revolves around Los Angeles. I got home that day with so much happiness. I met my kids and husband, and I immediately told them about the good news. My husband was shocked, and he asked me to carefully explain to him the role I would be playing at the conference. I was taken aback by his question, and I didn't know what to say. He told me an accountant had no business on a trip that was not financially related. Truth be told, he was right. The business trip was for top CEOs and their PAs. I honestly didn't have any reason to be at the conference. If there's one thing I can bet on is my husband's intelligence. You can't fool him easily. At that moment, I knew he could jeopardize my chances of traveling if I didn't act fast, so I got defensive. I told him he was jealous of my career and trying to stop me from attaining greater heights. I called him all sorts of names, from insecure man to career stopper. He got fed up with my tantrums and told me I should do as I please. The next day, I dressed up pretty fast and dashed out to the airport. My boss was already there waiting for me. Seeing him all glammed up gave me some kind of unexplainable goosebumps. My boss upgraded my ticket from business class to first class. I was flabbergasted. It felt like I was dreaming. I never imagined I would one day fly first class in my entire life. About 5 hours and 15 minutes later, we arrived in Hawaii. I slept off that I didn't even know when we arrived. Before our arrival, my boss had already made reservations at a fancy 5-star hotel, so we just took a cab straight to the hotel. But I got the biggest shock of my life when I discovered that my boss only made one reservation in his name. When I asked why he did that, he told me all the rooms were booked at the time he made the reservation. It was at this point I started suspecting my boss was up to nothing good, but I was too engrossed in my greed to care. He asked if we could share a room, and I foolishly accepted. That's how I lodged in the same room with my boss. I didn't even know what came over me. Immediately we got inside the room, one thing led to another, and I made out with my boss. The shocker of it was that it wasn't a one-time thing. We slept together all through our entire trip. I felt bad about it at first. I hated myself for cheating on my lovely husband. But with time, I convinced myself that I was doing everything for my family because I knew my boss would fire me the minute I turned down his advances, and that would make us go broke. So, with time, I adjusted with everything and just went with the flow, but that didn't stop me from feeling guilty. Our business trip, or should I say the vacation, was over and we flew back to Los Angeles. My kids were excited to see me, but I couldn't say the same for David. Our relationship changed. I think he started suspecting me from the moment I told him I was going to Hawaii with my boss. David started paying close attention to everything I did, which made me walk on eggshells anytime I was at home. I didn't want to give him more room to suspect me than he already did. My romance with my boss was mainly at the office since we were both married. We did everything discreetly, but soon everyone at the office got wind of our romance. At this point, I was too deeply in love with my boss to care. I could hear the gossip anytime I walked by, but I didn't care. My female colleagues especially were jealous. Who wouldn't be, though? They wanted to be me so badly because they all wanted to enjoy everything I was enjoying. If looks could kill, they would have killed me with their looks. One day while at work, David, my husband, called and asked me to meet him at our favorite restaurant after work. I wasn't happy because my boss had earlier promised to take me to a 5-star restaurant that evening, so in a way, David was disrupting our plans. I left work that day feeling sad. I arrived at the restaurant and met David seated there. Honestly, I felt somehow I didn't even want to sit down because I didn't want to be seen in such a place. I've so gotten used to eating at expensive restaurants that eating at just any restaurant felt like torture. Like I couldn't believe I missed out on an opportunity to eat at a 5-star restaurant just to come to eat at a cheap local restaurant just because my husband wanted us to have a stupid dinner date. It doesn't make any sense. Why a dinner date all of a sudden? Why today? Why not tomorrow or never? I planned to just see him briefly, then dashed out and went to meet my boss at the 5-star restaurant. I told David I couldn't eat anything because I was still going back to work, so whatever he had to say, he should make it brief. He begged me to please sit and order something, even if it was just a drink. I didn't want to disgrace David or make him feel bad, so I just sat down and made an order. But deep down, I was fuming with anger because David just ruined my chances of eating in another exquisite restaurant. After we had our dinner, David broke the ice and told me the reason he brought me out was for us to discuss ways we could spice up our marriage. He told me he noticed we were drifting apart and that we needed to spice things up a little. He reminded me of everything we had been through together and how we had overcome the storms that were meant to destroy us. At this point, the log on my eyes cleared immediately, and I remembered all the sacrifices David had made for me to get to where I am now. I felt bad for him. Deep down, I knew he didn't deserve everything I had put him through. I cried like a baby as I listened to him refresh my memory about how far we've come. It was at that point that I made up my mind to quit the extramarital affair I was having with my boss. It took one heart-to-heart conversation to make me realize what I was doing was wrong. I have decided to quit my job and also my relationship with my boss, but I'm scared. I don't know how David would react when he finds out that I cheated on him with my boss. I don't think he would ever forgive me. I know David is a good man, but I don't think he will ever forgive me if he finds out that all the money I have been spending was from my boss. Men can do the unthinkable when their ego is bruised. I need honest advice. What should I do? Should I confess everything to David and just quit my job? Or should I quit my job and pretend like nothing ever happened? I'm in a state of a fiasco right now, and I seriously need help. I will be in the comment section, so please be nice. Update. Hey Reddit, I'm back to update you guys on my story. I read through the comments and all I could say is that we've a lot of bitter people out there. But anyway, I decided to continue working and also continue having an affair with my boss after weighing the pros and cons. I concluded it was best I let the sleeping dog lie because I knew we could go broke if I quit my job. David's job cannot really sustain us because he took a lot of loans for my tuition. So in a way, I'm sacrificing my dignity for the betterment of my family. My boss and I continued our office romance, not caring about what people were saying. Everything was going smoothly until one fateful day. I arrived home and met my teenagers watching an unclad video of me and my boss. I almost died at that instant. A lot of things were just running through my head. I was shocked to my bones. I had a lot of questions, but I couldn't speak. I was too stunned to speak. Everything felt like a dream. It was when one of my daughters handed me a paper that it dawned on me that I wasn't dreaming. I gathered myself together and opened the paper and discovered that the paper was a divorce paper. While I was trying to make sense of everything, David arrived and asked me to leave. I still didn't understand what was going on. David started calling me all sorts of unprintable names. He told me that he started suspecting when I went on a trip to Hawaii with my boss, and ever since then he has been monitoring me. He told me that he gave me a lot of chances to come clean, but I refused and continued with my illicit affair. He told me he already had the videos when he took me out for dinner, but he wanted to give me the chance to come clean. At this moment, I fell on my knees and started pleading for mercy. David left me there on my knees like a fool and started throwing my things out. I was shocked when the kids joined him to throw my things out. They told me I was the worst mother ever, and that they were ashamed to call me their mom. I couldn't hold it any longer, so I told them I did everything for them so they could live a comfortable life. I didn't even finish my statement before David gave me 2 hot slaps. I felt humiliated. I couldn't even recognize the man in front of me. David turned into a monster. He wasn't even ready to listen to anything I had to say. He dragged me outside and flung all my things out. Seeing how he was acting like a lunatic, I picked a few of my things and left. I decided to give them some time. Time, they say, is a healer of all wounds, right? I went and lodged in a hotel, but I couldn't sleep. The face of my daughter crying kept replaying in my head. I felt bad for subjecting them to that kind of pain. I also felt bad for David because he doesn't deserve everything I have done to him. I left the hotel and rushed down to my parents' house. I explained everything to them, even though I knew I would never hear the end of it because they're very fond of David. But I was desperate. I needed to save my marriage. My parents were mad and disappointed at me, but after a lot of pleading and begging, they promised to follow me back to David's place to plead on my behalf. 3 days later, my parents followed me to David's place to plead, but all their pleas went on deaf ears. David didn't even allow us to enter inside. He treated me and my parents like commoners. Even my parents were disappointed with his attitude. Seeing that David's mind was made up, I signed the divorce papers and handed them over to him. I knew there was no point crying over spilled milk, so I decided to just put everything behind me. The divorce proceedings soon started, and we both agreed on joint custody of our kids, even though the kids categorically told me they didn't want to have anything to do with me. Their words hurt me so much. We got just custody of our kids, and after the divorce, reality set in. I became very broke because hiring divorce lawyers is not cheap, so I decided to go back to work. While all this was happening, I stayed away from my boss because I blamed him for everything. But with the divorce, I told myself I had nothing to lose anymore, so I went back to work, but nothing prepared me for the surprises that awaited me. I arrived at the office, and everything seemed to have changed so fast. I wasn't allowed into the boss's office. I was told he was busy. While waiting for him, everyone was just gossiping about me. They were whispering, but audible enough for me to hear. I ignored the cheap gossip, and I continued to wait patiently for the boss. Soon a female colleague walked out of his office with a messed up lipstick, and I didn't need a soothsayer to tell me what had happened. I'm familiar with that scenario. I've been there, so I know better. I was very mad and disappointed at my boss. I couldn't believe he had moved on to another person so quickly. For months I was away. Worst of all was that the fool didn't even try to contact me to know how I was coping. He didn't even look for me. I was so furious because this was someone who had promised me heaven and earth. When his secretary informed him I was around to see him, he told his secretary to tell me he wasn't around. I felt humiliated. Everyone was just staring at me with funny smirks. I wanted the ground to open so bad so I could just disappear. I walked out of the office with my head bowed down. I was so ashamed of myself. I became an object of ridicule. I didn't know everyone was really praying for my downfall this bad. On my way out, my boss's new chick stopped me and warned me to stay away from the boss. She told me I'd been replaced and that I should go and never come back again. She also told me how she recorded me and the boss making out and sent the video to my husband. She told me she got angry when I took her place and went on that business trip with the boss. She told me that she made up her mind to deal with me from that day. So one fateful day, she placed a camcorder in the boss's office, and luckily everything that transpired between us was recorded. She told me how she got my husband's contact information from HR, so she emailed him the video. At that point, I couldn't hold myself anymore, so I jacked up her clothes and slapped her. A fight ensued between us and security had to step in. I left the office with a bruised face. That day it dawned on me how stupid I have been. I can't believe I ruined my marriage because of my lust and greed. I thought it was love, but it's not, it's lust. I also realized that my boss was a chronic womanizer. I wasn't the first and certainly won't be the last. I tried calling him several times, but he kept bouncing my calls. He even blocked me at a point. I felt used and discarded. I fell into depression because of this. Every day I would be lost in thoughts thinking about how things would have been if I had handled the situation differently. I didn't know what to do with my life anymore, and nothing made sense to me anymore. I tried contacting my kids several times, but they also blocked me. I became lonely and broke. I decided to look for a job, but all efforts proved abortive. Luckily for me, I was able to secure a job at my best friend's fashion store. I became the cashier there. It wasn't big, but I was glad because being busy helped me forget about my predicament. Update. Hey Reddit, I'm back to update y'all on my story. I'm still working as a cashier in my friend's store. Life still doesn't make sense. I'm still struggling with my new reality. I have tried to contact David, my husband, to apologize properly, but have refused to give me a listening ear. I have also tried to mend my broken relationship with my kids, but I have also failed woefully. Everyone seemed to have moved on except me. Time has stood still for me. It's almost a year now, and everything is still fresh in my memory like it was yesterday. I still regret everything. Truly, not all that glitters is gold. I lost a good man because I was fascinated by riches. My boss deceived me. It was later I discovered that he was even the owner of the company as claimed. Everything belonged to his father-in-law, and he was just a face to it since the man was retired. He lost everything when his wife got wind of his cheating escapades. His wife divorced him without a single penny. The fool lost his home and all his riches. The cars he drove all belonged to his wife. I was happy when I learned of the misfortune that has befallen him. At least he got a taste of his medicine. As for David, my ex-husband, I heard he finally finished paying my tuition loan. Not just that, he also got a better offer in New York, 100 times better than the one he rejected before. He relocated with the kids to New York. I cried when I learned of this good news. David had always assured me that things would be better and that we would smile again. I wish I listened to him. I wish I was a little bit patient. Now I would have been enjoying life in the city of New York, starting life all over again, but now I'm stuck where I used to be. If only I was driven by covetousness, I would still be with my family by now. I decided to put everything past me and just move on with my life. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to make something out of my life for the sake of my kids. I want to be the mother they will be proud of tomorrow. Even though I made a foolish mistake, it is silly for me to continue dwelling on my past and wishing to have done things differently. I can't change or undo everything that has happened, but I can still rewrite my story. That is what I'm doing right now. I'm saving up money to acquire more knowledge and more certification so I can land a good job. I know one day David and the kids might forgive me and we would be reunited like one family again. This is the hope that keeps me moving all day. I'm taking one step at a time. I will come back to update y'all on my story. I just hope it's a happy one. Happy. Hello, kind people of Reddit. Today you will hear the story of how my girlfriend tried to fool me but made a fool of herself only. I, male 30, was dating my girlfriend, a female 38, for around a year. I work as an accountant in a multinational company. My girlfriend used to work in a cafe. We met in her cafe only. Her cafe was near my workplace. I liked going to a local cafe to have my coffee, rather than going to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know why, but the coffee of a local cafe hits different. So yeah, I used to go to that cafe frequently. We knew each other's names since I was a regular there. I used to talk to her about how I liked my coffee brew and stuff. We were friendly with each other. I went to the cafe in the evening. I was reading my book when she came around and told me that she had to close down the cafe for the day. I was starting to get up to leave when I realized it had started to rain outside. The rain had started pouring completely out of nowhere, so I didn't even carry my umbrella. I was waiting outside the cafe on the pavement for the rain to end so I could walk back to my place. It was pouring so much that I couldn't even see anything. Soon, she came outside and started waiting with me on the pavement. She asked me about the book I was reading. It was Murakami. She said she reads his work as well and really likes it. For those of you who don't know Murakami and his work, let me tell you that it's really rare to find people who have read it and enjoyed it. Otherwise, people usually give you a look. Anyways, coming back to the story, we started talking about books and other things. We didn't realize how quickly the time passed and it had stopped raining. We talked for more than an hour, just standing on the pavement, and no one of us realized the time. We became friends from that day onwards. She would always give me a smile. I didn't realize, but I started to get eager to go to the cafe and see her again. It sort of became like a habit. I started to visit the cafe even on weekends just so I could see her. It was safe to say that I had developed a huge ass crush on this girl. I found her really pretty and really sweet. I just didn't know if she was single or with someone. I thought of clarifying that sooner rather than later. And so one day I waited for her on the pavement when she was closing down the cafe. She was surprised when she came outside and found me waiting. I told her that I thought of walking together till the train station. We started walking together towards the train station. She told me about the opening of the bookstore near her cafe. She told me she visited there and it seemed like the place that I would enjoy. I was touched that she even remembered me. I then asked her if she went with her boyfriend. She smiled and told me that she went alone. I was relieved to hear that. I asked her out on a date that night. She said yes, and that's how we started dating. I remember this weekend distinctively. It was a few months after we started dating. My girlfriend was staying at my place for the weekend. I remember that we were lounging on the couch in my dimly lit living room. We had gotten fresh popcorn since it was a Friday night. We had made it a habit to spend our Friday nights curled up together, watching random YouTube videos and sharing laughter at the absurdity of some content creators. I remember how my girlfriend got excited as she clicked on a video titled, "Hooker Wins 4K USD Prize." She laughed and told me to watch it with her. The video featured an attractive young woman recounting her story as a high-end escort. She had been hired for an exclusive party, and at the end of the night, she was awarded a cash prize of $4,000 for being the most sought-after companion. The woman's excitement and pride were evident as she displayed the wad of cash before the camera. She had a confident grin plastered across her face. I was shocked to know such things even exist. I had to go through so many numbers and files to make money, and this woman, that much amount in a single night. My girlfriend was equally shocked as well. She said she can't even calculate how many days it will take her in the cafe to make that amount of money. I don't know why, but a strange knot of fascination and unease formed in the pit of my stomach. "That's a lot of money," I said to her. My girlfriend nodded absently, her gaze locked on the woman in the video. "Yeah, it is. I mean, it's definitely not something I'd ever do, but you can't deny the money is tempting." Her words got stuck in my head. I started thinking if financial allure was enough to persuade people to betray their morals. I wondered if my girlfriend can get tempted by this too. I quickly shunned the thought from my head when my girlfriend laughed slowly and suggested we watch something less controversial. I dismissed the growing thought in my head. It was completely irrational. My girlfriend had never given me any indication that she would do anything to betray me. If she didn't like watching something like this, how could she do something like this? I thought to myself. The next few days passed quite normally. I'd forgotten about that afternoon and that YouTube video. Since we started dating, I kept visiting my girlfriend in the cafe. Everyone in the cafe knew me on a first-name basis by then. But a few days after that weekend, when we watched the YouTube video, my girlfriend's behavior changed. Whenever I used to call her asking if I should come to the cafe and she was free, she would tell me that she was quite busy and to come another time. We both were quite busy with our work on the weekdays, but we had a pattern where she would spend the weekend with me at my place. She had spent almost all the weekends at my place since we started dating. She started telling me that she couldn't come with me as she had to work late for some other reason. I believed her because I had no reason to doubt her loyalty. We haven't been dating for longer, but she seemed like an honest person, and our relationship was also going quite well. We started meeting less and less. But I didn't doubt that anything was wrong because every time we would meet, she would meet with so much affection that it made me so happy to notice that something was wrong. I shared this with my best friend. He has been my friend since we were in college. I was a commerce student, and he was a computer science engineer. He worked at an IT department of a multinational company just like mine. He was also famous or infamous for his hacking skills. I shared with my friend how sometimes I felt that my girlfriend was avoiding me, but whenever she would meet me, she would be all hugs and kisses. He laughed at that and told me that it was common with all girls. He told me how his girlfriend would do the same thing. He said she would also act mean on texts and then got cute when they met. I laughed at that. I hoped that he was right, and it was just that. I didn't have much experience with relationships, so it was possible that I was making mole out of a hill, but I couldn't shake off the unease feeling that would come when my girlfriend told me that she wasn't free to hang out with me or can't spend the weekend with me. I called my girlfriend on a Friday afternoon. I wanted to ask her what time I should pick up from the cafe. Just as I called her, I hoped to God that she spends the weekend with me. I missed her. She picked up the call and told me that she has to run some errands and has plans with her friends from the cafe, so it's better if she stays at her place. I was really disappointed, but I hid it well and told her to enjoy the weekend. I then hung up the call. I was not sure that something was amiss. It wasn't like her to cancel plans for 2 consecutive weekends. As the time passed by, I knew that I couldn't ignore my suspicions any longer. The need to find answers had become unbearable, and I vowed that one way or another, I would unravel the mystery that changed my girlfriend's behavior. I decided that I will confront her and have a face-to-face conversation regarding the difference in her behavior. I called her on Monday and told her that I wanted to see her. I thought that she would give me some excuse again, but to my relief, she agreed to meet me. We decided to meet at a restaurant which was near both our workplaces. She told me that she would meet me there directly. I was waiting for her in the restaurant itself. When she came, she hugged me directly. She laughed. Her laugh sounded so contagious and genuine. It made me feel like everything was perfect. Once she settled down in the booth opposite me, I finally took her in. I haven't seen her properly for around 2 weeks. Every time I asked her, she would give me some reason. I didn't even know if it was genuine or just an excuse. She looked quite different that day. She was a barista, so it was obvious that she wasn't exactly rich. I'm not judging, just stating facts. To be honest, it was her simplicity that attracted me towards her in the beginning. But that day she was wearing jeans which looked like they were new and of a really good brand. She had a fancy bag with her. What caught my attention the most was the necklace she was wearing. I knew about that necklace when a friend showed me what his fiancée wanted for her birthday. I remembered that brand. It was Pandora, and I was sure it cost somewhere around $300 USD. She didn't used to have that kind of money to purchase things like that. I asked her how she got that necklace. She hesitated for a bit, but then told me that she wanted it for a long time, and when finally it was on sale, she used her savings and got it. I believed her. We ordered our meal. I began the conversation by asking how she was. She gave me a smile and told me that she was fine. We chit-chatted for a while. I asked her if there was any reason why she was ignoring me. At that time, I wasn't sure if I was overthinking or I actually saw guilt on her face for a second before she hit it. She came forward and held my hands. She told me that I was overthinking. I had told her that I had a habit of overthinking things. I didn't know if she was using my overthinking as an excuse to defend her actions, or was I actually overthinking? We talked for a while and everything seemed okay. There was nothing wrong about her behavior in person. She was still laughing, still smiling at me. I believed her that I was just overthinking and everything was okay between us. One thing about my girlfriend was that she used to usually hesitate when we would go out on dinner. She didn't like that I was spending so much money when we could have just had dinner at home. We even laughed about it. One time I told her that I don't think too much about money, and she replied sarcastically, "'Cause you have loads of it." We laughed then. I was just doing well. My job wasn't the highest paying job in the city, but it did well for me. I always picked the tab because it came naturally to me. My girlfriend never offered to pay, and I didn't want her to either. It had become a ritual sort of between us. However, that day when the waiter got our bill, she stopped me when I was getting my wallet and told me that it was on her. It was strange. In all the months we dated, this had never happened. I couldn't resist myself and asked her why she insisted on pay. She shrugged like this and said she thought for a change, she should pay as well. I told her she should spend her money wisely. She seemed offended by that for a second, but then quickly recovered and nodded. She told me that I should head back to my office as it was already past lunchtime and she would go to the cafe alone. I didn't like the idea. I told her that it's fine that the break is over. I could still drop her to the cafe, but she was adamant and told me to go to the office straight away. I hugged her and told her that I would like to see more of her. She nodded with a smile and we both went our way. Everything was going fine then. We would text each other throughout the day and she would go to sleep early at night. That's what she told me. I would spend the nights working or scrolling through YouTube since I had nothing better to do, and I had a habit of sleeping late. One night when I was scrolling through YouTube on my television, the channel with the hooker video started playing. It must have come in my recommendation because we watched it that day. I was already bored, so I thought, why not watch it only? They were having that party again. There was a guy with a mic who was introducing all the hookers in that party. He had announced that the winner would get $6,000 prize that night. They had increased the amount, I thought, and laughed. My laughter died immediately when the guy introduced one hooker to the camera. She was completely in makeup and a very tight dress. She was actually dressed as a hooker. I couldn't have recognized her if I hadn't spent so much time with her. On the television screen was my girlfriend, the same girlfriend who told me on our first date that she hated makeup and revealing clothes, the same thing she was wearing right now. I rubbed my eyes to make sure I wasn't seeing someone else, but I was sure as fuck that it was my girlfriend. She told her name to the guy in a sultry voice. That wasn't her real voice, but it was still hers. She didn't even tell her real name. I was actually confused then. I thought maybe it's someone else who is identical to my girlfriend. I had to do something to figure it out. I started pacing in my living room as the show continued on and kept showing all the hookers. I thought that I'll just call my girlfriend and talk to her. It will wake her up, but I needed to find out if the girl on the TV was my girlfriend or not. I dialed her number, but she didn't pick up. I kept calling her again and again, desperate to hear her voice. I then decided to go to her home to check on her. We both had a key to each other's house for emergency purposes. I thought that I'll just go and see her sleeping on the bed and then come back. As I drove to her home, I kept praying in my head that I found her in her home. I didn't even want to imagine what I was going to do if I didn't find her in her bed. With a heavy heart, I reached her apartment and unlocked the door. The apartment had all the lights off. I tried to calm myself, thinking maybe she's just sleeping and that's why, and switched off all the electricity. I went to her bedroom and opened the door. I switched on the lights and the bed was empty. The room seemed to shrink around me. I felt like the air was thick with tension and deceit. My heart was pounded in my chest, a relentless thud echoing through my body. I stared at the empty bed in her bedroom, my mind racing with questions and accusations. My suspicion had come true and my heart broke. The girl who promised me that she will never break my heart had done exactly just that. I felt so broken and so lonely in that moment that I had never felt. I got out of her apartment and got in my car and drove back home. I laid down in my bed as I started thinking about the whole situation. My girlfriend was a hooker. That much was clear, but there were still so many questions in my head. My palms were slick with sweat as I clenched them into fists, nails digging into my skin. The pain was a welcome distraction, grounding me as I grappled with the devastating revelation. How long had she been hiding this from me? Was our entire relationship built on a foundation of lies? I came back home and started pacing in the living room. I couldn't understand what was going on. There were so many questions, but I had no one who could give me my answers. How long has she been a hooker? I kept thinking. I felt nauseated as I thought if she had always been a hooker. I started thinking of all the signs in the beginning of our relationship. There must have been something off about her if she was a hooker, and how could I have missed it? I kept thinking, but nothing came to my mind. When I had started dating her, she was a simple girl who worked in a local cafe and enjoyed reading Murakami. Who was this girl on TV? As my mind got filled with all these thoughts, I started having a headache and then went to take a painkiller. I woke up the next morning on my couch. I didn't even remember falling asleep here. The medicine worked and I must have fallen asleep, I thought to myself as I checked my phone. My girlfriend texted me in the morning. I read her text. "Sorry, I was asleep when you called. Call me when you wake up." This was the text she had left me. I knew she was lying. Only thing which angered me more was that I was falling for her lies since God knows when. At this point, I was convinced that our entire relationship was nothing but just a sham. I switched on the television. I played the same YouTube channel that I did last night. The latest video was aired sometime around 3 a.m. My girlfriend was the winner at that party and she had won $6,000. I had felt enough hurt now. I couldn't behave like a heartbroken teenager anymore. My girlfriend had thought that she was the player here, and she could play me, and I would not bat an eye on her. I never doubted her because I trusted her. Now that the trust is gone and I knew her reality, nothing was stopping from making her pay. I decided to show her that she cannot escape the result of the damage done by her. I started thinking how I was going to make her pay. It didn't take much time to figure it out. She did all this for money, so now I was going to take that away from her. Even though I knew her truth, I still decided that before taking any action, I had to get sure about what she was doing behind my back. I was just thinking about all this when I got a call from her. She told me how she missed my calls because her phone was on silent and she was asleep. I told her it was fine. I didn't tell her anything about the previous night and acted normal. I confronted her earlier because I trusted her. I believed her to tell me the truth. Now I know she was betraying me and I had no intention of telling her anything. She told me she was leaving for work and I wished her a good day. I ended the call after that and got ready. I didn't go to work that day and instead went to her apartment. I knew that she had already left the apartment and was in the cafe. I entered her apartment and went to her bedroom. I wanted some evidence to confirm what I already knew. There was nothing in there except bags of quite designer brands. She had definitely gone shopping with her new money. My eyes then fell on her laptop. It was placed on her dressing table. I opened it. It already had an open browser. I found what I was looking for in her laptop. The browser had a hooker's website open. The account was already logged in. You must have guessed it by now. It had the profile of my girlfriend, just with a different name. The pictures were her, the email address, the PayPal details, everything belonged to her. I saw her chat threads with various men. She was charging $150 for one meeting, and all these men were paying that. I felt like throwing up. The woman who I thought was the love of my life was actually leading a double life, and I had no freaking idea. I tried to find out how long it has been going on. The website finally showed that her profile was only made around a month ago. I opened the calendar on my phone and checked that date. I was not very surprised when I saw that her account was created on a Friday. It was the same Friday we watched that damn YouTube video. Everything started making sense. I remember that day. My intuition was right. My girlfriend can and has betrayed her morals for money. I was now sure that I wanted to execute my plan and take revenge from her. She betrayed my love and trust for money. If only she had asked, I would have given her everything I owned. I then went to another cafe to grab some coffee. I called up my best friend, who used to be a hacker. I told him to meet me at that cafe. By the time I settled down after ordering my coffee, my friend had arrived too. I told him that I had already ordered coffee for us and asked him to sit with me. We settled down and I told him everything from the starting till the end about my relationship and what I found the previous day and that morning at my girlfriend's apartment. He was shocked when I got to the part of the previous night and that morning. "What a bitch," was his first response. I had called her that quite a few times in my head already, so I didn't stop him. Before any of you give me a lecture about disrespecting a woman, please know she was living a double life. I had no respect left for her. He then asked me what I was going to do about it. I told him that I don't want to let her go so easily. He nodded to that. I knew he would understand, and that was the reason I had only called him and no one of my other friends. I told him my plan. He was surprised and shocked when he listened to it, but I didn't need to convince him to agree to any shit. He was already in it. I told him that I wanted to strip her off everything. I wanted all her money gone, and I wanted her on the streets since she enjoyed being there a lot. He asked me how I was going to do it. I told him that he had to take out all the money from his PayPal account by using his hacking skills. I told him that I was going to make her homeless. He told me that I was taking a big step and asked me if I was ready for it. I told him I was ready for it and to get it done as soon as possible. He asked me for her email ID and I gave it to him. He left the cafe and I went to execute another part of my plan. I went to her cafe and found her behind the corner. She gave me a smile when she saw me. Her face was glowing. It wasn't the glow from love. It was the glow from her bank balance. I smiled, thinking how I was going to take that away from her. I hugged her as she came to me. I told her that I missed her. She said she missed me too. I asked her if she had some time to sit with me. She nodded and we settled on the corner of the cafe. We talked for a bit. She finally told me that her lease of her apartment was ending soon. I took that as my opportunity and told her she could move in with me. She seemed shocked and surprised that I had suggested that. She asked me if I was ready for that sort of commitment. I told her why not. She made a face like she was calculating something in her head. Probably how much money she would save on rent if we moved in together. She agreed and told me that she was really happy to start this chapter of life with me. I told her I was happy as well. She called her landlord and told him that she won't be renewing her lease as she was moving in with me. I gave her a fake smile and then left for the office. She called me around the evening telling me that she needed my help to pack her stuff and to shift everything to our home. I told her I'll be there to help her through everything. I had almost called her out then and there on the call, but I wanted to see her reaction when I told her that her game was over. I kept my calm and went to her place to help her pack everything. She asked me if I was excited. She was grinning from ear to ear. She told me that she can't wait to live with me. I lied through my teeth and told her that living together was going to be amazing. We were done in a few hours and then went to our place. Everything fitted in my truck, so we didn't need to call anyone for help. We just made our way home while she gave me her sweet smile throughout the drive. One night had changed things so much. Earlier, I used to love her smiles, but after I knew everything, I felt like throwing up when she smiled at me like that. We placed all the boxes in the living room. Just as I was done with that, my friend's message came. He told me that he would need some more time to transfer the money. Fuck. I didn't want to play this pretend game any longer, but I had to. I kept listening to her as she told me her plans on how she was going to make changes to the interior of my place. I almost laughed because she had no idea that I wasn't going to let her spend a single night here. The thought of her devastation brings a sick satisfaction to my gut, like a twisted knot of pleasure. She has no idea what she's in for. Finally, I got the message from my friend that it was all done. He told me to text him again when I was ready and everything will be gone in a second. I left a sigh of relief. I continued the act for a bit longer. I told her that I was too tired from packing and moving all the stuff in, and that we should take a break and watch YouTube for some time. She agreed. She was scrolling through social media on my tab when I clicked on the video in which I saw her the other night. She didn't pay attention to it in the beginning, but when the mic guy started introducing the hookers, her eyes went up. She still didn't realize what was happening and tried to change the channel so I didn't see her. I kept the remote out of her reach and told her that the best part was coming. She got shocked just as her part came on the television. She started crying then. I laughed and told her it was too late to shed those. It didn't affect me at all. She started crying even more then and told me that she can explain. Save it, I snapped at her. I've seen the messages on your laptop, the filthy things you've been doing for money. She still begged to let her explain. Although I knew that nothing she could say could justify what she had done, I still told her to speak. Maybe because I knew I wanted the actual reason behind it as well. She started speaking. I already knew what she was telling me, but I let her speak. She started speaking between her sobs and told me how it started after she had seen that video on YouTube that day. She told me that she saw that they were giving the prize of $6,000 and she wanted the money. She had to become a hooker first to go to win that prize. That's why she had created that account and started all this. She kept crying and told me that she had decided to end things after she had won that prize. She told me that she never meant to hurt me like this. It just had gone out of control when she realized that she could make so much money with this. It started out as a stupid way to make money. I thought it was harmless, but then the greed took over, and I couldn't stop, were her exact words. I scoffed at her. I told her it didn't matter if she meant to hurt me or Jot. The damage she had done couldn't be erased. I was done with her. I told her that since she won the prize, I had a congratulatory gift for her. She looked at me with confusion on her face. I texted my friend and her phone started getting notifications after a second. She looked like she was going to faint as she saw the money being debited from her account. It didn't stop until it reached $0. The remorse and shock on her face satisfied me a lot. She asked me if I had hacked her account. I just shrugged and chose not to answer. She then got angry and told me that I cannot do it, and she'll file a complaint to the police. This made me laugh really bad. I asked her if she was going to tell the police how she had so much money in her account when she was a barista. I also reminded her that all the sites she used were illegal in our country. And also, the prize money for which she betrayed me. When she finally realized that she couldn't do anything about it, she started crying again, begging me for forgiveness, telling me that we can figure out anything as long as we are together. She told me she just needed one chance to show me how guilty she was. I told her that I couldn't care less about her or her sorry. I told her to get out of my property as soon as possible. I took her boxes and kept them outside as she kept trying to stop me and forgive her a chance. She told me that she has nowhere to go and no money either. I told her that she should have thought about it before betraying me like that. I also told her that the sites she was using to get customers were banned as someone informed the authorities about them. We both knew who informed the authority about them. She kept crying and wasn't leaving when I finally told her to get out and that she wasn't welcome here. She left the apartment crying. Usually I would have felt bad if I made someone cry like that, but that day all I could feel was absolute satisfaction. She deserved this. Even though I got played, I made sure that she couldn't trap someone else like me. I settled on the couch with my beer and called my friend to thank him for everything. I told him to anonymously donate the money to some charity. I didn't want my hands on that filthy money. It was good that it could help out someone in need. It has been more than 2 months since that day. I have stopped going to the cafe she used to work in. I don't even cross paths with her. I'm happy in my life without someone deceiving me every day. Sometimes my mind randomly starts to think about her and what I did with her. It's weird, but every time I think about her, I get a weird sense of satisfaction and revenge. I had taken my revenge and put an end to her deceit, but I still feel maybe I went too far. I discussed this with my friend and told her the same thing. I asked him if I did the right thing. I told him that we know that she lied to me and she betrayed me, but what I did was that the right thing. He told me something that makes a lot of sense. He told me that sometimes we gotta fight fire with fire. He was right about that. That bitch deserved it. Words of my friend, not mine. Even though I had taken my revenge and made her suffer for her actions had made it hard for me to trust someone again like that. In our short span of relationship, I had grown very attached to her, and then she went and broke my trust like that. This made me realize that anyone can break your trust at any point. I'm trying to finally trust people again because it isn't fair that I stop trusting people who have done no wrong to me. I'm moving past that tragic relationship and all the pain it has caused me. I hope that my noon gets played like my ex played me. Anyways, if you came this far, thank you for listening to my story.